Thank you, Forrest.
Woo! That was a good one. That was actually a pretty weak clap. I've done better, for sure.
You think so?
Yeah, don't you?
On the pod?
I mean, yeah.
I'm just trying to remember.
I guess normally you're the clapper. I'm more of a clappy.
Because I remember one episode you had a really stupid wimpy clap, so I think that's
I did, yeah. Well, it's weird when I rings on. I feel like I don't know how to clap.
I took off my rings.
I mean, I'm a monster clapper with no rings.
I took off my rings, so let me just.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see how mine was so much crisper and louder?
I could get there.
That was pretty good.
I know. Because I'm a fucking generational talent, George.
Well, I feel like a generational talent wouldn't have had a clap like that earlier.
We all start somewhere.
That's true.
We'll start somewhere and then we become generational.
We all start somewhere and this is where the episode starts.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Obligatory Podcast. You want to talk about the fucking weather?
Yeah, dude, it's been wicked hot. I don't know if y'all... I think this is really an East Coast thing. Maybe even a mid-East Coast thing going on. But it's been wicked hot in the fall.
It is... For the record, I don't know when you guys are watching this. You could be watching this in 20 years,
sure,
winter time.
And at that point, it will be still wicked hot.
It'll be wicked hot year round. But we are filming this. It is November. It was early November. And yesterday it was 85 degrees out.
85. And we're this isn't interesting to talk about on the podcast at all. But both of us have been hating it so much that we need a venue. And this is our shit.
None of my friends here.
Nobody wants to talk about the weather.
Nobody wants to hear me talk about the weather. So it's gonna be Forrest.
Now you have to.
Now you have to hear us talk about the weather.
Is it 85? 85 mid-November? 85 in October? Yeah. 85 on Halloween? What the fuck is even that?
On the one hand, I like that I can, go out in a shirt and shorts on Halloween.
Yeah.
For my Uncle Grandpa costume, which killed, by the way.
I'm sure it did.
Which killed.
Yes.
But it's 85!
85 is ridiculous. We deserve for it to be in the 50s, slightly brisk. That's what I want in my fall weather. I love a brisk day.
Ooh.
Because everyone knows this about me. I have awful temperature regulation.
Yeah.
Especially for heat. I just can't do it. I don't get cold, but I really do get hot.
You're lucky, Forrest. I am pretty much the opposite.
I think the grass is always greener because I'm deeply jealous.
I get cold so easily. It is genuinely awful. It's rough living in this apartment. I'm gonna vent.
Okay.
I'm gonna vent on the podcast. My roommate, who you've all met, I love him
Lovely
to
guy.
death. I love him to death. And my little baby chinchilla, little boy, I love him to death too.
His name's Rocket.
His name is Rocket. Here's a picture of him on the screen.
Wow.
They both cannot handle the heat. I've seen Caleb in 42 degree weather go on a walk, come back, and he's dripping with sweat.
Caleb fucking gets it.
So it's the temperature in the apartment is almost always 62 degrees in here. And and he sleeps with 5 blankets. I got one measly little Minecraft throw blanket that I have to suffer through. It's awful. It's awful.
That sounds, personally, I'm not on your side.
That sounds like your dream. I completely understand.
Because, okay, George, let me do an exercise with you.
Okay.
And for the viewers, this is not interactive for you at all. I'm holding my hands 6 inches apart. Put your hand in the middle of my hands. Do you feel?
Are you generating heat?
Yes, I'm generating a wicked amount of heat at all time.
It is so for the audio listeners. Forrest is in a button up.
Yeah,
I'm in a jacket.
Yeah,
that is how cold it is in here.
For me, it's hot in here.
Yeah, the weather's just been.
And so I'm looking for a brisk day.
Yeah,
instead of a brisk day, motherfucking 80.
80. Forrest, what do you like? what would be your ideal, like, you go out and, like, you feel this air and you're like, today's going to be a good day.
Like I like mid-40s.
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 Are you wearing a jacket in mid-40s?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, as like an accessory choice.
Okay.
I think that for a really long time when I was growing up, when I was in elementary school, they called me Alaska Boy. This is real. They called me Alaska Boy because I was that kid that would show up in like shorts and a t-shirt like year round. Like I would like shovel snow in like shorts and a t-shirt.
Oh.
Yeah, my parents would get like pissed at me. So for a really long time, my family would be like, Forrest, you have to wear jeans and like you have to wear like jackets so that you look normal. Like you look. So I have it in my head that I look super weird if I dress to how I feel like I should for the weather. Mm-hmm. So I had like I do wear jackets and stuff like that, and I do wear like jeans. Mm. But in an ideal world, I would not do that. I would wear like shorts and a t-shirt all the time. However, because I've been told it's weird my whole life, I've assimilated.
I'm sorry to hear that. I think you look great in a t-shirt and shorts.
It's okay. I think it's fine. I think it's better because like it's true. It does look weird if it's like January and this fuckhead is walking around in a short and t-shirt and it's like snow outside.
I see those guys like, you know, walking around in just shorts and a t-shirt, like, and it's like December.
Yeah,
I think to myself, what an asshole.
I also don't want to be associated with like that brand of manliness where you're nothing. I can't. Nothing hurts, man. Like I can't feel that. Like
you just can't feel cold.
I just don't get cold that easily. Although one thing that shatters me is the wind.
Oh,
like if it's like super windy out, that will get to me.
You know what is my peak like weather type? It's like 80 degrees, flat 80, perfect 80.
Oh, that's too hot for me.
Perfect 80, but there is a gentle, like very gentle breeze. Like it feels like a ghost is like blowing into your face, like.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can feel it, so it's like whispering. You're like, you look nice today, George. And I'm like, thank you, friendly ghost. And it's like taking away the heat, but I can still feel. I can go out in a button up in jeans, you know, which is my preferred.
That is your preferred
ensemble.
Outfit. Yeah.
But I'm not like dying of sweat.
Yeah, I think personally that's too hot. I hate days that are like above 65 and have the sun present. I don't fuck with that.
Above 65?
Yeah, if it's like above 65 and the sun is out, I don't fuck with that. If it's like 60 and it's like cloudy, I really like cloudy because I hate the sun. It's too hot.
I hate cloudy.
It's way too hot.
I'm one of those people that like if the sun's not out, I'm miserable. Like I'm one of those seasonal.
One of those liberal depressed kids.
One of those fakers.
Yeah,
one of those fakers.
I don't know what's up with you guys, but could you please stop using that as an excuse?
I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way the sky turns gray.
I like the aesthetics of like a mostly cloudy, but there's still like blue and like some sun. I like the aesthetics of the sun.
No,
I really hate when it's clear out. Although I think that's super boring. Like the sky is so beautiful with the clouds.
No, I know.
So when there's no clouds, I feel really disappointed in the sky. It could be doing better.
It's like I see an empty sky with no clouds, and I'm like, we're looking at a dome right now.
Yeah, I'm like, I understand.
I
understand all these like conspiracy theories and why, like in ancient Rome, they thought there was like a cloth with like holes poked in it or whatever the fuck. You know,
for like the clouds were the holes, or the
no, like the stars were the holes.
Oh, the stars were the holes.
Like conspiracy theories like that, like go back a long time.
Well, I mean, that's just like the truth, though, right?
Who's to say? I haven't been to space.
That's true.
And famously, if I haven't been there, it's probably not real.
Absolutely. You know what Forrest asked me before this? He asked, do I think squirrels poop? Is that what you asked me?
Well, yeah, because we were walking under a tree and there was a squirrel like that climbed right above us. And I was looking at the squirrel and I was looking at us and I'm like, everyone knows that animals like to shit on my belongings.
Oh, yeah. I think you've talked about this on the pod.
I think I've talked about the amount of bird shit that hits my car on the pod. So I'm like, anytime there's an animal above me, I assume I'm probably going to get shit on.
Yeah.
So I was like wondering what my assumption should be. Like squirrels poop, right? But like, do you think they ever poop on people?
I don't know. I've never seen a squirrel poop, so I don't believe that they do that.
But they eat.
Yeah.
So it has to, and it's very fibrous, right?
It goes to their thighs. Not out their eyes. Not at their eyes. Not at their ass.
How do you think anything works?
No,
it goes through their thighs, not to their eyes.
I meant ass. I meant asshole.
Obviously.
No, I mean, I just like if I don't see them pooping, it's just like I can't imagine them pooping. You know what I mean? Like I don't believe that you poop. You know what I mean?
You've never seen me poop.
Yeah, so I don't think you poop. Well, no, I believe you poop because you tell me about it.
What do you mean? I don't tell you about it.
You've told me about your poop habits. You told me that you poop like 3 times a day.
I don't poop 3 times a day.
I might be thinking of Sean.
Yeah, definitely.
Sean told me that he poops.
I poop like once a day, sometimes twice.
Dude, this might be TMI for the pod, but I poop like every few days.
Every few?
Yeah, which is fine. It's like
that is fine. 2 white moms just walked past and gave crazy eyes to our camera.
they're trying to get on the podcast. They're trying to join in our
they gave one of these. Wide eyes and everything. Triple take.
You know what they might be wide-eyeing to? On the whiteboard back here, I've drawn a beautiful depiction of OJ Simpson.
That's my juicer.
Yeah, the juice. OJ. Yeah, and recently I decided to try reading again.
That's good. Me too, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
What have you been?
Mostly weird old food philosophy books.
Okay.
Not something to talk about for this episode.
I understand. Yeah, I haven't really the last book that I read was Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died.
That was also the last book I read before I started reading again.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that book is so good.
It's extremely good.
I could not put that book down. It was genuinely fantastic.
Yeah.
It was moving and also funny at the same time.
Yeah.
It's genuinely one of the best books that I've ever read. And
absolutely.
Funnily enough, I have the exact same opinion about one little book written by Orenthal James Simpson, If I Did It.
That's his name?
Orenthal James Simpson. Orenthal?
Where is that? What? That's not a name.
That's his name.
Orenthal James Simpson? Did he go by James his whole life?
No, he went by OJ.
Obviously. Never mind.
He went actually, the Juice is a childhood nickname of his that he did go into in this book. Yeah, I read this book. I read OJ Simpson's If I Did
It's about if he did it, allegedly.
Yeah, I mean...
Because to be clear, we still don't know. I mean, he was acquitted.
I mean, can we... it's really fucked up, Forrest. It's really fucked up, Forrest, that OJ Simpson died and his killer is still out there. The guy who did it is still at large.
I know, and we haven't caught it yet.
Yeah, I couldn't even begin to to think of who could have done it.
I don't know who could have done it, but it's not him. But you know what he will tell us about is if he were the person to do it, he would give you a very detailed account of how he would have done it because of all that time that he spent in jail.
Yeah.
He had a lot of time to think about what if it was him.
Yeah, he did go to jail. I think he went to jail after he wrote the book, actually. I think it was...
Well, you have to go with my narrative now.
Okay, so, yeah, before he wrote the book, he was sitting in jail and he was like, well, if I did it, what would I have done? How would he have executed? Happened?
Literally.
So, yeah, he wrote a book.
How many pages is that? Bad boy.
How many pages? Well,
it looks like it's a real book.
Yeah, it is girthy.
For sure.
You could finish it in a day.
Yeah.
I finished it in 2.
Mm-hmm.
The actual, if I did it part is probably 200 pages.
Okay. That's not that long.
That's a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But there's let me cut the bullshit for a second. Yeah, OJ Simpson killed 2 people.
2?
Yeah, 2 people.
Ugh.
It was...
Wow.
Yeah, you don't know it. You don't know anything about...
I just know that he's in Fortnite.
Get this out the way. Talk about him in Fortnite.
They put him in Fortnite. There's a skin in Fortnite for the Buffalo Bills that had his number 32 on it.
Mm-hmm. And famously, he talks about in the book, after he retired from football, that number for the Buffalo Bills was retired.
Yeah.
No one else could use it.
Yeah.
And maybe when they were starting to talk about using the number again, a certain incident happened in 1994, which made it so that no one wanted to be 32.
Whoa.
I'll get to that later. But yeah, OJ Simpson, he killed 2 people. He killed his ex-wife, at the time.
His bitch ex-wife.
Oh, dude.
To be clear.
He goes into it in the book.
Oh my God.
The downfall of their marriage was not his fault.
No, how could it be?
Not his fault
and
at
I'm pretty
all.
sure this is objective as well.
Yeah, and then also there was an innocent bystander who was returning like Nicole's glasses from like their job.
Okay.
Like his name is Ron Goldman. He went to Nicole's house. He was just like in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh, I see. A necessary kill.
Yeah, it's so weird. This is so weird. All right, let me get into the book. Most of what the book is, actually I would say like 75% of what the book is just talking about like OJ and Nicole Brown Simpson's like relationship leading up to the night in question.
Okay.
That's what he calls it.
The night in question.
He calls it the night in question.
It's very questionable as to what happened.
I don't know what happened, and I read the book.
True.
And it seems like he doesn't know what happened because he didn't know what happened.
I mean, he was there for sure, but it's hard to say, who held the knife.
No, he says he held it.
Okay, well, it's hard to say who landed the final blow.
Well, that's true because when he's talking about the night in question, he says that he had a partner with him.
You can, in Fortnite, by the way, be OJ Simpson holding a knife.
Yeah. And he has one glove on.
And he has one, yeah.
Yeah, he like takes the knife from like his friend who was there.
Oh, his friend. His friend logged onto the computer.
And looked up the porn. And he looked up the porn.
No, my friend. Okay, so it's super awkward. I like lent my computer to my friend, and then my friend looked up porn, and then that's why it's on my search history, Dad.
No, he like it's he like how he describes it is like he's like, I was filled with rage. I took one of my gloves off, grabbed the knife, and then he blacked out. And then he says he knows what happened, but he can't tell us, so he's writing in a blackout. It says that in the book. And then he snaps back to reality, and he's like, where did all this blood come from?
So there's no blackout.
I mean, I think OJ... I think OJ is lying when he says he does not know what happened.
Well, anything could have happened. Probably his friend killing his wife.
Yeah, he blacked out, and his friend took the knife back, killed Nicole.
So his friend was there.
But
didn't die?
No, he was an accomplice.
But the other person who also happened to be there was killed.
Well, no, because the reason why OJ went over to Nicole's place was because his friend, who he calls Charlie in the book as like an alias name,
right?
He comes over to OJ's place and he's like, man, like Nicole's gonna like have sex with some other guy. Like she's been having sex with another guy, and they've been like split up at this point for like 2 months. No, like 6 months actually.
Okay, so a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It was OJ who was like, I don't want to be in this anymore. Or at least
he got himself out of a toxic situation.
That's what he claims is like he claims that he didn't care about this relationship anymore.
Right.
But then it's like this mysterious person is like, yeah, she's gonna be having sex with some guy, and he like goes into a fit of rage and like drives down and like remembers every single street that he went down. Like he writes in the book, like, then I went down this street and I ran this red light and I did this, but this is all hypothetical, by the way. And he like,
if I did it, I would have ran this red.
His friend like goes in with him. He's like, we shouldn't be doing this, man. We shouldn't be doing this, man. And like, he goes in, he's like confronting her, and then like this guy like happens to go in there. I don't think that was the person that she was like seeing, because it really just seems like he was coming back to like give her like something she left at work. Maybe there was something going on. I can't tell you. I wasn't there that night.
Unlike OJ.
Unlike OJ, who is very adamant that he was there.
Who's definitely there.
And then he takes his glove off, throws it on the floor, and then blacks out. And he comes back and he's like, where did all this blood come from? I don't know how this happened, but we gotta hide this
like
shit.
Blood all over himself?
Yeah, all over himself. All over his hand, all over the knife. Blood is like, covering him from like head to toe. That's and then he like writes out his escape plan with this accomplice.
Why would he write this book?
Because OJ Simpson is a massive narcissist baby who can't like not be in the public eye. Because like the thing that people forget about OJ was that he was one of the greatest football players of all time. Like he was like number one in like the 80s, early 90s. 70s, early 80s.
Okay.
Like, he was the fucking man. In Young Sheldon, actually, there's a scene where they talk about OJ Simpson and how much they all love him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like late season 5, and they're like, yeah, but like, you know, like that darling OJ Simpson. Like, we all love that guy. And even Young Sheldon is like, I don't really watch football, but I think he's quite the charming lad. And it's like, it was
that's
probably
very
one
funny.
of the funniest jokes in Young Sheldon. Yeah, but no, OJ Simpson was like, he was very popular. Like, he was the Tom Brady of like his age.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot more. I didn't realize. I knew that he was like, I kind of thought, because there's like 5 football players that like people actively know if you don't watch football.
Yeah.
You know? And like, I mean, that are actively playing because they're so good that they break. This is the thing for all sports, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I can name like 3 basketball players, and I don't watch basketball, but it's because they're so good at what they do that they're probably just like the best in the world. Yep. Therefore, I know
of them.
Of LeBron James and his son Bronny.
Actually, honestly, I would actually take back what I said about Tom Brady. I'd probably say that OJ Simpson was the LeBron James of like sports at that time. I'm being deadly serious.
So like that's actually a lot of context. Like for me who doesn't know anything, that's a lot of context about OJ. I thought he was just like a kind of nothing football player.
No, it's like if LeBron James like killed like his wife and like son, and you're like, oh my God, this guy who was really good at basketball and it was also in a lot of movies.
A lot.
Did this?
And a few video games.
Yeah, that's why the OJ Simpson case was so huge.
Right.
Was because he was such a public spectacle that someone of this level being like actually doing this was like earth-shattering. That's why the case was so crazy. There were a couple other reasons why.
It was also one of the first like televised court cases, right?
Oh yeah.
Especially one that was like popular and like everybody tuned in.
Yeah. How do you feel about televising court cases? Because
I feel like it is none of the public's business.
No.
Especially after, like, you know, obviously the example that comes to mind is the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. I was about to bring that up. Which is just 2 people, 2 very messy people settling their, like, disagreements. And, like, what happened was bad on, like, both ends. They both are probably deeply bad people.
I would agree with that.
And also, they now have to deal with the entire world, like, making opinions about this shit. Like, it's just, like, not... I don't believe in the, like, idea of, like, celebrity worship that we have.
No.
And I think that the court cases are a testament to why it's unhealthy for not only us, but the people involved.
I was watching...
especially being, like, the court was held... very close to where me and George like were at the time. So it was like also weird because you would go down the street and you would see like Johnny Depp impersonators and like people actively like protesting and stuff. And it was just like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, why can't you for one day in your life be normal?
So for the record, the reason why I read this book is because I want to make a video about it. I wanted it to be a Halloween special, but I have no free time.
It's okay.
So like whatever. But sorry, where was it? What was it? I forgot what I was just saying. All right, I'll cut that out.
You were just... okay.
Yeah, the reason why I read this book was because I wanted to make a Halloween special about it. I didn't get the time to, but it'll still come out. Don't worry, it'll still come out. Dude, I don't know what's going on with me. I completely...
You're losing your mind, George.
I'm losing my mind.
George, get your shit together.
We were talking about...
Now's your time. You have to present if I did it.
Yeah, okay.
We were talking about courts and like being public.
I remember. Okay. For the record, I read this book because I wanted to make a YouTube video about it. I wanted it to be a Halloween special, but I just didn't have the time, so who cares? Yeah, and like I did a lot of research like on the trial, and I watched specifically Wendigoon and Moist Critical. They like did a whole like deep dive analysis from like a Reddit thread, and I learned a lot about the case, and they brought up this idea of like how do they feel about televising trials. And at first I was on your side. I was like, I don't think they should do that. But I think Charlie said it best when he thinks they should be filmed and released afterward. Because when you televise a trial, like it is inherently impossible to like remove like the bias from like the public away from like the verdict, which is very important, and like how the trial itself is viewed is like changed because of how the public views it. Like specifically for the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case, that was not a case of domestic violence. That was a defamation case.
Yeah.
So, but people like saw that trial and they turned it into like a men's abuse like victim like story, which it just wasn't, which is a very important like issue in our society. Important issue,
but also that's just not even what that was about.
That's just not what that was about, which is exactly what happened in the OJ Simpson case, because at the same time there was another trial that was going on where a black person was falsely accused of murder, and he got like the death penalty, and he got put in jail.
Classic America.
So a very big like the trial of OJ Simpson was never about like if he actually did it. Everyone knew he did it. It was a question of whether or not he would go to jail for it, because one of multiple jury members, after they delivered the guilty verdict, said that they fully believed that OJ Simpson did it, but they freed him as like justice for the other person that got put in jail.
Oh, tight reparations.
Yeah, it kind of was used
but like
as reparations.
not like properly done or anything.
No, because you are freeing.
Yeah,
you're letting two killers loose.
Yeah,
you know, you're not like justifying.
You're not like doing something good for like underprivileged people.
Yeah, and what is it? OJ Simpson's like original lawyer, who was Rob Kardashian, the father of the Kardashians.
Amazing.
He was originally like the head like lawyer, but they swapped him out for a black man who was the lawyer, and that's like a big reason why OJ Simpson got freed, was because they used the idea of like racist cops and all that to like free him. There was one head police detective on the case who they asked him, they were like, have you said the N-word in the past 10 years? And
in the 80s?
This was 1995.
Okay.
And he was like, no, I have not said the N-word in the past 10 years. And they were like, are you sure?
That cop definitely has said the N-word in the past 10 years.
Oh, hold on, Forrest. And he's like, I not to my knowledge, I have not said it.
Oh, yeah, he could have forgotten.
So then they're like, okay, here is 13 hours of footage where you say the N-word 41 times.
Whoa.
And also where you claim that the one of the head police officers, who was a female, slept her way to the top in the department, and that police officer was the judge's wife. The judge heard this guy say that his wife slept her way to the top.
Wouldn't they need a new judge at that point?
Oh no, he did not get.
Okay.
The judge was the one who like.
Isn't that a major conflict of interest?
It is.
Okay.
The judge was the one who was really spearheading to get this trial like televised, because he himself wanted to become like a public spectacle himself. Like he wanted like his Judge Judy moment.
Yeah, we all want to be Judge Judy or Judge Steve Harvey.
And to his credit, after this trial, he did like go on a number of TV show appearances like all throughout the country. So like,
yeah, that's like so disgusting.
Yes, it is incredibly disgusting. So like, yeah, he wanted this trial like to be televised for his own selfish gain. He got it. He did have to hear that his wife slept her way through the police department.
Yeah,
weird. That should never have happened.
No,
that line of questioning should have never have happened. That answer should have never have happened, but it did, and it got OJ free. And also, that same police officer did say that. I don't know why he said this, but he said that it was a protocol to plant evidence against black people during this time. Like he openly admitted that.
I mean, yeah,
like it's true. Like,
that's objectively true.
It's objectively true. I don't know why he said that though. I don't know, like what caused him to say that.
He had to be truthful on the stand. So
he will not perjure.
Yeah,
but he will say the N-word 41 times.
Well, I mean, God's watching when you're on the stand.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that the phrase "if the glove doesn't fit" is such like a common phrase nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like everybody understands it, but like that line originates from this trial. Like it was created specifically to be like if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. Like phrase for
I
the
really
jury
fuck
and the
with
public.
the idea of like a catchy chant, or a catchy slogan, akin to like someone running for class president.
But that's what it was. It was catchy. It was a rhyme. It was a catchy phrase, and it like pretty much instantaneously everyone was like, yeah. If the glove doesn't fit. So
people are like sheep.
We have to acquit. We have to free this guy.
It's true, because the glove didn't fit. We all saw he tried his very best to put on that glove.
Yeah, some people, some naysayers out there say that OJ Simpson took like pills that would like swell up his hands. Yeah, or they say like he shouldn't have put the gloves on himself because like obviously he could like to fit 2 fingers into like one like glove hole and like fake it, but like my glorious King OJ Simpson would never do that. The gloves just didn't fit.
And well, if the glove doesn't fit,
who cares? Who cares if one of his gloves was at Nicole's house and his other glove was in his own home? Who cares if he said that he's never met Ron Goldman in his life, but fibers from Ron Goldman's shirt and hair were on his body when he went to jail? Who cares?
Who cares if he was literally openly there?
If he said himself that he was there at the time of the murder and he just didn't see it, who cares? The glove didn't fit.
You must acquit.
And that's what happened, Forrest. The trial went on for like well over a year. It went on for well over a year.
Well, you have to make sure you get the details right. You got to cross your T's and dot your I's.
And like, not the entire case was like this. There were just like, regular like trial days where nothing really happened. It's just like a lot of insane shit. Also, something that I learned was that the prosecutors on Nicole's side, like Nicole Brown's family, they had so much to deal with because one of them was going through a very bad divorce at the time.
Okay.
And the other prosecutor was a black man, and he had to like struggle personally with like other black people telling him that he's not a real black person because he was trying
on the
to
wrong
like
side of history or something
he's
like
trying
that.
to put OJ in jail. So he's like struggling with like his morality of like like standing up because like this was during a really bad time for black people, obviously. What is there not a bad time for black people?
This was in America.
This was in America. And so he had to like struggle with like he knows damn well that OJ Simpson did this. But like at the same time, he's like, does he stay true to his blackness? Like everyone is trying to say, like, what is the right move? I don't know what I would have done.
No, I mean, that's like a deeply hard position to be in. I find it really interesting that this was like perceived as a racial inequality case instead of like a murder trial what it was like supposed to be. And that, because he was so famous and because he probably had like such a big PR team behind him, they were probably really able to leverage that. But
that was their strategy.
The idea of like not that much has changed in the sense of the amount of like performative activism that people will engage in that will actually cause a lot of negative. But they'll engage in it to feel good about themselves. Like especially white people will do this all the time. And then like random shit like this happens and it just gets applied to like completely out of context things. Like you're not doing a lot for racial equality by like supporting a black celebrity in a case where he was like definitely guilty. Yeah. That's not like a person that's like underprivileged in that moment, or like somebody who's like really struggling or like needs it. All the while it's the 90s and there's the government's like intentionally fucking over black communities all over the country, and like most of the country that's not true. Most of the white part of the country was extremely down with it and extremely supportive of it. But in this one case where there's this one guy where they're like, oh, well, we're not trying to be racist about this. I mean, there was one guy who was already killed, and this guy's also black. Like, it's like a special form of racism that I think is very American.
And not really discussed. Like, it's very taboo to, like, I think say that out loud, because, like, white people want to be like, oh, I don't, like, it's just really unfortunate that it was, like, that it was this case. where he so clearly did it, but he had like some of the best lawyers in the world on this case. Like that was absolutely their strategy.
Oh, I mean, this guy's so fucking rich, right? Like he can, if you're that rich, you're just not going to get in trouble for this.
I mean, if you see like OJ Simpson's face when they delivered like the innocent like verdict, he himself looks like, oh.
Well, that's because he damn well knew he did it.
He's like, oh.
That's because the blackout that he writes about in his book is not really a blackout.
No. Another very interesting thing that I want to point out is that like the trial itself like took a long time in terms of like, you know, murder trials that evidence is so like pointed at this guy. The verdict took them 4 hours to come up with. It took them 4 hours of deliberation to be like.
I think that a longer amount of deliberation is generally good in courts. You know, like we do generally subscribe to innocent until proven guilty, and it has to be absolutely guilty. You are sentencing somebody for a very long time to something very serious.
Yeah.
But it did seem pretty clear cut, especially like the way that we talk about it now and the way that it's like joked about now with it being so recent. Like, I guess now it's not so recent, but even like growing up when it was more recent, people would often joke about how it was so obvious.
Yeah.
And it's like not one of those situations where hindsight's 20/20. You know, it's like it's like quite clear if you like watch any of the footage from the court that everybody in the country was watching.
If you look at the evidence for even a little bit, like it's just really unfortunate, and that brings me a little bit to like some of the stuff in the book. But OJ Simpson did have a long history of like domestic violence, specifically from Nicole Brown. Like she would make a lot of calls to the police about like, you know, OJ Simpson coming over to her house and like hitting things with like baseball bats and breaking shit.
Oh my God.
But like she told her dad about this, and her like OJ was paying like her father for something. I think it was like medical bills or maybe like stuff for his business. But like OJ Simpson was paying her dad for something very important. So they had that connection.
Like helping him out financially.
Yeah. Okay. So he would tell her like not to report to the police anymore because like that would be bad for him. And
well, I mean, that would be bad for him.
It's really
That's
like
extremely heartbreaking.
that is extremely terrible. But at the same time, Ron Goldman's family has been like very outspoken about their hatred for OJ Simpson.
Who's Ron Goldman in all of this?
Ron Goldman is an innocent bystander. Like that's
really the guy who.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the second murder.
I don't know if I said that earlier. I'm sorry. But yeah, Ron Goldman is the second murder. He was I think 25. He was very young.
And I mean, that's like a quarter of a century.
Yeah,
that's pretty long.
We're getting close to 25.
Yeah,
we're right around the corner. Yeah, they've been very outspoken about trying to get justice for OJ because he got away with it. He got away with it. Not only did he get away with it, but up until he died, like a year ago, he was extremely cheeky about it. Oh yeah, he had that TikTok account.
He has a TikTok account where he would duet videos about how like there were conspiracy theories that he killed his wife, and the videos would just be like, I don't know, maybe, or like he'd reply to comments that are like, hey man, I heard you're a real woman slayer, and he'd be like, people are saying I am. Or it would be, it's just like, it'd be like, oh, did you kill your wife? He's like, I don't know, but if I did, and then it cuts. And it's like
he's toying with like,
it's like, what kind of, like, you're such a fucking psychopath.
He is. Oh no,
like that's just like, if I feel like I haven't killed somebody personally.
Yeah,
this is like, that's not my area of expertise. I don't really know how I would feel after killing somebody. I'm going to assume that I would feel extremely guilty for the rest of my life, and I, one, wouldn't want to talk about it, two, wouldn't joke about it, like especially so publicly facing. Like I just there's an absence, there's like a void of guilt that he's demonstrating by like writing this book or by like having that TikTok account, or I'm sure like countless other things that he's done in public that I'm not mentioning.
And like I've killed plenty of people.
Okay,
like,
so
I've
you're an expert.
I'm an expert on this issue. I would never even think about like
you wouldn't confess that.
I wouldn't confess to it, which let me be clear. This is exactly what this book is. He keeps saying it's not a confession. This book is a confession.
Yeah, I mean, George was telling me before the episode, like, every like 5 pages, he talks about how everything in the book is hypothetical and then continues to go into deep detail about how exactly everything happened. So either this guy has the most vivid imagination in the world or he clearly lived through killing his wife.
I mean, I don't see any like scenario where like he's not a narcissist for writing this book. You know what I mean?
I mean,
like let's just say hypothetically he didn't kill her.
Okay.
Why did he write this?
You're a psychopath.
You're a psychopath for writing this.
You like tragically lost your wife. I mean, you were separated at the time, sure. You were still extremely close to this person. Like, you tragically lost somebody that you were very close to at one point in your life. You probably wouldn't go around, like, you know, like, it's just being like, not like being like, well,
let's just say, like, if I did it, here's how I would have done it.
Yeah, and then
I didn't do it.
The whole country's talking about how you might have done it, and you're like, I think I should joke about how I did it.
Yeah, and then on the other hand,
not how the human mind works. You don't do that.
And then on the other hand, if he did do it, not if he did do it, he did it, and he wrote this book. What the hell?
Statute of limitations, baby.
How long? Do you know how long the statute? You wouldn't know. I should know.
I don't know. I think it's somewhere around like 15 to 20 years.
Oh, this was written like 12 years after.
Well, this is all hypothetical, so none of it could be used against him.
That's true. Let's start talking about the book itself.
Please, tell me more. We've talked a lot about the trial. Like, what specifically is like in this book?
Yeah,
a lot of lead up, right?
There is a lot of lead up. This is why I was talking about Ron Goldman's family, because OJ Simpson was going to come out with this book, but they like stopped it from happening. Okay. Like they sued him. They got the rights to the book, so that they could do whatever they want with it. Because one thing that's not very talked about the trial is that it was also a domestic violence trial, right. Which he was found guilty of.
Shocking.
So he had to pay money to both Nicole's family and also Ron Goldman's family. So he still had to like pay those families for causing their death. I think it says it. I think maybe like 8,000, 80,000. Okay. I feel like I remember there being an 8 in the number, but I don't know.
$8.
So he has to give them $8 a month. But because of this, and because like no one was like hiring OJ to be on any movies or any like TV specials or whatnot, he was losing money left and right.
Of course.
So he needed like a way to like bring in some cash.
Yeah,
you know,
because he has to keep living in the lap of luxury.
Exactly. He can't fathom his giant golf courses.
Yeah, he can't like move into like a 1-bedroom somewhere quiet and like live a normal life.
No. So he thought, what if I wrote a book? And I guess like the only thing of note that he could talk about
was not a flourishing football career or a path to excellence.
No, actually,
he clearly had.
There were like small little moments, like small little nuggets of stuff that's like interesting, you know, just objectively interesting. Like he talks about like having an absent father as a kid and like struggling in school, and then like meeting like a football player that he really looked up to and like aspiring to like reach that level of excellency, and then like getting into football. Like all that I just told you could have made for like not a more interesting book, but like definitely a more moral book.
He had other things he could have written about. Like he was like a bunch of celebrities write things about a lot less.
Yeah, but what I just told you was maybe one paragraph in the book. Most of and Ron Goldman's family sued for the book, and they were like, OJ can't give you more money, but you guys can have this book as like collateral or something, as like the
rights to the book, so they would write more, like they could write in it, or the profits
that they could do whatever they want with it.
Oh, okay.
It was like substitute for money, basically.
Okay.
So
did they also profit off of it, or did he profit off of it?
When they decided to resell it, it was never sold under OJ Simpson. It was only sold under the Ron Goldman Foundation.
That's great.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So when I bought this book, I was giving them money, not OJ.
That's fantastic.
Which is very important to me.
Yeah.
So what they did was that they wrote, they had multiple like people come on to talk about like, this is what life was like after the trial. You know, because people were very like, you guys are awful people for suing OJ.
How dare you sue my guy?
And one thing that people were very upset about was them deciding to re-release the book. They were very confused by that decision to like still let OJ's words get out there, but like they profited off of it. It was they toiled with that decision for months, but the way that they justified it basically was like, they see this book as a confession. They don't see this as a hypothetical. It looks like a
confession. I mean, like, it doesn't look like it's...
From what I read, I think it's a confession.
Yeah.
So they talked about, like, going on, like, the Oprah Winfrey Show.
Sure.
And she was very, like... She did not agree with them, like, selling the book. But then they were able to convince her, like, after, like, throughout the thing that they were like, she was like, okay, this is the right decision. I see why you guys are doing this now. Because I think when most people would think about it, like, at the time of this book, they'd be like, you're making money off of your son's death. But that's not what's happening. They are getting the justice that they deserve through this book.
Their son died. That was deeply unfortunate.
Yeah.
And this is, like, they're not profiting off of it. They're profiting out of like fairness, like out of like justice because of it.
Yeah, they want to make sure.
Which I feel like is different than like a family of grifters being like, ooh, our son died. It's like, oh my God, our son died. Our life is in shambles.
Yeah,
like,
that's not what happened at all.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I think is the best part of this book is like hearing their like fight for this book and like their inner like inner monologues and inner debates about like what led to them releasing the book. One other person came on to talk about the book, and that was the original ghostwriter of If He Did It. OJ Simpson did not sit at a laptop and craft this book out.
What?
Basically, the ghostwriter was approached by some lady. I don't know her name.
Sure.
She's an important lady in the book business.
Okay.
And she was like, OJ Simpson wants to write a book and he wants to confess. That's what she told him. He was like,
wow.
She was like, he wants to confess, but he'll only confess under an if.
Yeah.
And the ghostwriter was like, I need the money. So he like agreed. So he would like meet up with OJ Simpson on multiple occasions. And OJ would just like talk about like his life and whatnot. And he'd like write stuff like format it into a readable book.
Yeah.
And I think the book is very readable. Like it's
Do you think the book was good?
I mean, in what way? I think the book was interesting. That's what I would say.
Do you think it was like well written?
I think it was well written, not because of OJ.
Yeah.
Like I think because the ghostwriter was very adamant. Like he told OJ to his face multiple times that he was like, no, I think you did it.
Well, I mean, I think it's yes.
Yeah. He was not like helping OJ try to like make himself look better. He was just taking the words that OJ was saying and then putting them into a book. So in that way, I think it is well written, but you can like the parts that aren't well written, I can tell are because of OJ, because he wanted things to be taken out. He wanted things to be muddied in a way, which the ghostwriter did like talk about like the dog, like Nicole Brown Simpson's dog. When OJ went over there in the night in question, the dog saw Ron Goldman specifically and started wagging its tail. And that's something that the writer of the book was like, that's a very like interesting detail.
That is very interesting
that, like,
detail.
Like a regular thriller author like wouldn't even like really think to put in there, because that's like the dog knows him. The dog saw OJ and didn't wag his tail. It saw Ron Goldman
and was like, "Oh, this is my fucking guy."
Yeah.
The dog was excited.
And like OJ Simpson said that, he wrote that in, and then OJ Simpson saw that and was like, you change it to both. He saw me too and started wagging his tail. Which like you can tell like there are things in the book that he like changed up a little bit to like make it sound like he's not so guilty, but like in a way that's like, I hypothetically could have done this, but I didn't do this. But hypothetically,
because of a few small details, I didn't do this.
Yeah. He also talks about like at one point during like the thing, OJ Simpson at one point said, I couldn't have done it alone, right?
He couldn't have. And he had a friend helping him.
Yeah. So luckily OJ made up a fake Charlie. That's like the person that was like, that's not his real name. It was an alias. And
was this guy also in the trial?
Well, OJ never said who it was specifically, so I don't know.
So it's the public, or like this guy also never got any repercussions?
Well, I don't think that Charlie exists.
Oh, okay.
And neither does the ghostwriter. Like, the good friend is like, I don't think there was another person there. I think it was just OJ, and he's trying to, like, muddy the water even more.
I see, okay.
That's what I mean by...
Maybe in OJ's reality, he has an imaginary friend.
I mean,
maybe there's something deeply wrong with him.
I think there is too. I'm going to come out and say that I think there is something deeply wrong with OJ. It seems like he had a lot of struggles in life that he just refused to talk about in this book. At one point, he was married before Nicole. And he mentioned in one line that, like, one of his newborn, like, children died, like, drowned in a swimming pool. And that's something that I would assume would deeply trouble him.
It's very traumatizing.
And I think that's something that, like, he probably carried for, like, his entire life, but he just didn't talk about it. So I definitely think maybe there was, like, a lot of mental stuff going on with OJ Simpson during this time. Not that excuses anything, obviously.
No, but it's definitely something to... I mean,
it's something
I think that if you kill somebody, generally, there's probably something going on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that that's a natural human behavior to do unless it's a life-preserving. But I don't think that that's, like, something that really happens in the modern world. In America, like in a first world country, you know?
Be a completely sound of mind and you're like, I'm going to kill that guy. That's just
like
not...
unprompted, like your ex-wife, like, you know, like with all these extra factors, I don't really think that...
Yeah. And he downplays a lot of, like, his behavior. Like, when I said earlier that he, like, blamed Nicole for their marriage, like, going, like, down under, like, that's just the entire book. The entire book is talking about how... For the first, like, 15 years of their relationship, things were perfect. And then Nicole started, like, doing drugs and everything was terrible. But that's just clearly not what happened because he'll be, because there are all those domestic violence calls against him. And he mentions, like, there was one time where I hit her and, like, dragged her out, like, at a party. And it's just like...
Dragged her out?
Yeah, and he's like, then
hit her at a party?
It was, like, after a party.
Oh, right.
And, like, he was...
Talking to too many other guys.
No, he just wanted to sleep alone. He just wanted to sleep alone, and she didn't want that.
Oh, my God.
I don't know. Like, this guy is just genuinely deranged.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I dragged her out and I, like, threw her out of the house, but I technically didn't even hit her. And it's like, what is
I like
this guy on?
The word of technically there. It's like, I, like, technically didn't hit her. If she got hurt, that could have happened.
Really just, like, what the entire book is. It's just him being like, and this happened, but technically it wasn't really my fault.
It wasn't like,
this and that.
Like, my fist wasn't closed.
Yeah,
you know?
It's like, I started destroying everything in her house, but that's because I saw her having sex with some guy in our house. And it's like OJ, I don't think you're cool, OJ. I don't think you're a cool guy, OJ.
It's actually not, like, a super great reason.
No,
you know, it's like, actually, like, many people are saying that's not even a good reason.
No, not even a little bit. Yeah, and that's why I think the book is well written, but it's, like, not at the same time. It's very confusing. I think the book is good and bad at the same time, you know? It's like, it's like objectively interesting. It's an objectively interesting read to, like, hear how he views, like, the relationship and, like, how it kind of, like, came crumbling down and whatnot. Like one thing that he talks a lot about, like, Nicole's drug problems and, like, the friends that she, like, hung around with who were very, like, club centered and, like, going out, and how like he felt like she wasn't really taking care of, like, their kids. I don't think he was lying about that. I don't think he had a reason to
but
make
perhaps
that stuff up.
Perhaps she was in a situation that maybe pushed her closer to behaving in that manner. That's
what I'm about to get to. During the trial, something that I'm bringing up now is that Nicole had a safe. Like, she had a safe, and in that safe was a lot of, like, creepy letters that OJ sent to her about how much he wanted to get back with her.
But he was the one who broke it off originally as well.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what he says.
That's what he says. Okay.
I don't necessarily believe him.
Because he also wrote all those letters.
Or
maybe he was just like, hey, Nicole, my love, I messed up. Look, I have made a continuous lapse in judgment.
Well, it's really interesting because in this book, he keeps claiming that Nicole was, like, the one who was really trying to, like, get things, like, back together.
Yeah, and she wanted me.
Because, like,
to be clear, you know, she loved me the whole time, and that's actually why I might have killed her.
Yeah, that's literally just what the book is. It is that, and then every 5 pages he goes, by the way, this is all hypothetical. Hey, don't even worry about it, sweetheart. None of this actually happened.
That's like if I were to, like, make a joke book about about killing somebody, I would write it in that manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I were to write like a sketch about a guy who seems really guilty, like I would write it just like that. I would write it. He would constantly be bringing up that it's probably not him.
Imagine, dear audience, that maybe you're watching the new Avatar movie, and every 5 minutes James Cameron comes back in to be like, by the way, guys, this is all CGI. Hey, this is not real. Don't even worry about it.
Like, aliens don't even exist. These aren't real blue people we got from the government.
And the ghostwriter himself was like, I hated how much he wanted me to reiterate that this book was hypothetical. Because the book is called If I Did It. We get it. We get that it's hypothetical. We just don't believe you. We just don't believe you.
Well, maybe it's like, you have to like try a food 7 times before you really know if you like it. You have to hear if it's hypothetical multiple times before you really get brainwashed.
Yeah. So yeah, just the good majority of the book is just talking about like, this is what the relationship was like. They divorced after 15 years. Then like a couple years later, Nicole came to OJ and he was like, I really want to try things again. Oh, and one thing to note about OJ again is that he was a serial cheater.
Absolutely shocking.
At the beginning of the book, he was like, I would never cheat on anyone ever. But he like cheated on technically his first wife with Nicole because they were getting ready to divorce each other already. And he sweeped her off her feet when she was freshly 18. That is a real fact.
Ooh, how old was he?
Oh, he was like 35. He was...
Oh, okay. Yeah. Double the age.
Yes.
Cool. So, high school senior, 18.
Yeah, it was... She was working at a restaurant nearby his place. And he was like talking to one of his friends about getting ready to like divorce his wife. And then he like meets Nicole and he's smitten.
And was he a celebrity at this point as well? Like he's very fit. So it's
also a
the
power
relationship,
dynamic.
is inherently based on toxicity, whether it was meant to be or not.
Yeah. So then OJ and Nicole get married, and then like near like the end of their relationship, like before they even start talking about like divorcing, like he's very interested in like making the relationship work because he was very in love with her.
Sure.
He started cheating with someone else.
Yeah.
And then that broke off and he got with a new person, and then he started cheating on that person with Nicole. And it was like this weird on and off again thing. And then at one point she's like, I really want to try to actually make a relationship work. What if we stay together for a year and see if like things can be cool? And he's like, well, I gotta try. I gotta give it a try.
I mean, you do.
So he breaks it off. He breaks it off with like his current girlfriend, and she's like, what the hell? And then they tried to date for a year. After like 6 months, OJ's like, nah, I'm not into this anymore. But he sticks it out for the rest of the
he was a good guy.
Oh no, he was a great guy. I love that guy. He's my favorite celebrity ever.
I just wouldn't want him to be a bad guy. That would be really upsetting.
It would. It'd be like your hero.
It'd be like if Mr. Beast turned out to be bad.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So then after a year, they like ended things like officially for a second time. And then he got back with the girl that he broke up with to be with Nicole for a year. And then of course the night in question happened.
So
he talks about it like in the book. What are you gonna say?
That's interesting. So they were. How long were they on and off again?
Nicole and OJ?
Yeah.
Like 2 years.
So their relationship was like... Was she like 20 when she died?
Let's see. They got together, 17 years later she died. So like 18 plus 17...
Oh, okay.
That's like 35? She was like 35. She was the age that OJ was when they met.
Right, okay. Good time to die. So they were on again and off again for like 2 years, but they were dating for like 15 years or something like that.
They were married.
Married, yes, that's what I meant.
Married, they had kids. And the way that OJ described her was someone who like had 2 different Nicoles. Like there's a literal chapter in here, I think called like The Two Nicoles, I think it's called. And like he talks about like sometimes she'd be the greatest like loving like person ever, and then sometimes she'd just be like punching and kicking me and like throwing sand in my eyes.
And she was the abusive one.
That's what he says.
That's the truth if he said it.
Hey, everything in this book is hypothetical except for that.
Yeah, except for that. That's not hypothetical.
He doesn't talk about the trial at all in the book.
I mean, not much to cover there.
But he does talk about the the chase, the police chase.
The famous police chase about the juice being loose.
Yeah, which I do have a tapestry of in my room. It's on screen right now, I guess. Yeah, and that's something that like I did research on the trial. I read the book about leading up to it. I never even really thought of like what was going on during that police chase, but that's like one of the most watched events in TV history.
Oh, absolutely.
And that was before like most houses really had like there were not a lot of people at the time compared to now. That's like more than the Super Bowl, like more than the peak Super Bowl. Like people were watching this.
Wow, really?
Police chase, yeah. Wow. Like comparatively to now.
Yeah.
You gotta account for inflation of TVs.
People who have TVs, sure.
Yeah, and it was also one of the slowest police chases in history because they really did not want to hurt OJ.
Well, I mean, you can't hurt a goddamn American hero.
Because what was he talks about it in the book. What was happening was he was like getting turned into the police for the murder of Nicole and Ron and Rob Kardashian. It's really like. This trial is the reason why we have the Kardashians. Like, wrap your head around that.
Something good came out of it, I guess, in a way.
Forrest, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
Lots of people are fans of the Kardashians.
Are they? Are they fans of the Kardashians?
Aren't they? They're fans of watching them.
They're fans of the fact that they exist.
That's being a fan of something.
No.
The Kardashians have brought more joy to people generally than most people will ever bring to people. Like, the amount of people that they've brought joy to is insurmountable compared to the average person.
That's fair. Yeah.
Which is upsetting.
That is very upsetting. Yeah, so Rob Kardashian's like, yeah, just like, he was like, take another moment with, I think, it was after Nicole's like, not ceremony. What's the word for like pre-funeral or post-funeral? It was after her funeral.
Okay,
like the party
so
after her funeral.
the funeral gathering.
Yeah, Rob Kardashian was like, like the police are waiting at your house to like take you home. They didn't go there, which I guess is good, but also like that gave him a clear chance to escape. Yeah, which he took. Right. And him and one of his old football like buddies in the NFL.
Okay, this one was real though.
What?
This friend was real?
This friend was real, okay. Yeah. Because he was in the car, like, with OJ during the police chase. Like, he was driving the car itself. And OJ Simpson...
Because OJ didn't have both of his driving gloves.
No, he only had one.
He only had one. He can't drive.
He couldn't get behind the wheel. Yeah, and he like, had a gun on him. And he, like, called, like, a radio station and was, like, talking about, like, I didn't do it. I'm going to kill myself. And he's like driving and like the person driving like doesn't feel like he can stop the car. It's like he's like worried for his friend's life. He doesn't think he did it. Yeah. So it's like reading about like the car chase itself. It just like, I don't know. That's what made me like think like this person's just like very much not in like the right, like not in a good headspace. That's just what led to him. Again, not saying that like that makes it cool.
No, it obviously doesn't make it okay, but it's, I mean, objectively a very interesting like study into the human psyche where like this guy was pretty on top of the world for a very long time. And it seemed like, you know, maybe growing up was hard, didn't have like a father figure. Maybe he became like very successful, all of that. And then everything started like crumbling. Yeah. And even while he was successful, it sounds like he went through very hard things. Like he had a first marriage that didn't work out, in which a newborn child drowned in a pool. You know, I would imagine that if that happened, you'd probably harbor a lot of guilt for that. Yeah. And then he has this like infatuation with this woman that lasts 15 years, but like clearly it's weird. Yeah. After their divorce, I'll just interrupt for just a quick little thing. Nicole and OJ were still like good friends for like a while, and she would like tell OJ about all like the new, like she would tell OJ like, yeah, I'm going on a date with this guy, and you know we're probably gonna have sex, and I had sex with this one guy, blah 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 blah. And it's like just like learning about stuff like that is like it's just interesting. It is. It's just like objectively interesting. But that doesn't make the book good, but it also doesn't make the book bad. It just makes it a book. It just makes it
Honestly, it just makes it a confession. That's just what this book is.
Would you recommend this book to the average person? Like, would you tell like somebody like, yeah, I read this book, and if they're like, oh, can I borrow it? Like, do you think that I would enjoy reading it? Like, would you say yes?
I guess it would depend on the person. That's my honest answer. I think you would enjoy reading it. Not enjoy reading it, but I think you would find it interesting. But I think someone who maybe like wouldn't care about this kind of thing, I probably wouldn't recommend it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
I feel like that's what makes a book good. It's like, if it's like widely, like if you would recommend it to most people, then it's like, yeah, that's probably pretty good.
So I guess this book is just situational. I think that's how I would describe it. This is a situational book.
There's over 325,000 copies sold.
Yeah, New York Times bestseller.
So clearly a lot of people are into it.
It's a bestseller, I guess.
And wow, the Associated Press. It was a confession that nobody wanted to read in 2007, at least until they had the chance to read it. Reviews are positive. Yeah, people are saying that it's good. Hard to read. So a review says chilling. But like, personally, yeah, this seems like interesting. Yeah, it seems like cool.
I don't regret spending a lot of time learning about this case, because I do think there are a lot of things that like I'm taking away, like newfound opinions that I have about like the idea of televising court cases, just like the psyche of like a psychopath, a narcissist, a fucking baby, and like what leads them to this decision. And I have a lot of respect for the Ron Goldman Foundation. It's clear that they really like cared about their son and what happened, which I can't really say for at least Nicole's father. Because of like the part that he played in leading up to her demise. But I mean, listen, if you've like listened all the way up to here, and this sounds like an interesting book. Sorry, I spoiled it all for you, but I think
that most of it is kind of already like public knowledge / spoiled. I think the way in which it's told is the part that's interesting. So I would say that like if you've listened to this whole thing, like I will probably walk away wanting to read it. Like it's like, I think that hearing about what happens in this nonfiction story is not like, the plot points aren't the interesting part, right? It's the way that it's written, the way that it's told.
Yeah. So yeah, just to get my final thoughts out on this book, it's really fucked up that OJ's like imposter is out there, the true killer of Nicole and Ron. It's really fucked up that he's still out there.
Yeah, I can't believe that they let him get away. That white man.
He posted on Twitter. He was like, "Did you say white man?"
Well,
there's a genuine theory out there that that when OJ was at Nicole's place, some other serial killer showed up, killed them, and left.
Oh, I've heard that. Yeah,
like some people earnestly think that.
Well, just because he was there doesn't mean he's guilty. His friend was there too.
Yeah, that's true.
And Ron, it could have been a murder-suicide.
It could have been, but then why wouldn't OJ just say that?
Well, I mean, do you really want to hash out personal details on public live streamed court cases?
That's fair.
I don't think he's the type of guy who would just like air out personal details so publicly, like write about it in a book.
When do you think court cases are going to start being streamed on Twitch?
Well, okay, so we're not supposed to have like cameras in courtrooms. Like that's like a thing, right? That's why there's like courtroom drawings and stuff like that. Like there's like a certain amount of privacy entitled to courtrooms. I think if unless it's consented upon by both parties.
Yeah,
right?
I think if both parties are like this, I think if all parties are fine with it, like I guess they would just find a new jury member if they were like really wanting to like televise it, which it seems like was the case for this trial and also for the Heard Depp trial.
Yeah, I think that what you said earlier about court cases being like filmed and released after the fact, being chill, like I guess I agree with that. I think that there's something to be said about ensuring that there is like justice properly delivered and that being ensured by public opinion. But I think that's also why like most court cases aren't closed. Like, you can walk into most of them. Like, that's already a measure that we have in place in our, like, checks and balancing system in America. Could it be executed more properly?
Absolutely.
Almost certainly.
Absolutely.
Does it need to be done by live streaming these things? Like, certainly not.
But I just, like, I think that's where it's gonna go at some point.
How long until it's on Twitch? I don't know Twitch specifically. How long until it's live streamed? I mean, fuck, dude. I don't know. It already's happening.
What about Kick?
Kick? Yeah, like, I mean, right, though?
yeah.
Like,
that's where it would happen.
How long is it? It's just until it happens to a streamer. It's just until, like, streamers get in trouble for doing that, like, pedophile thing that they like to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think, what is it? Mr. Beast, like, a lot of Mr. Beast's, like, messages and documents have been turned into the FBI recently. So maybe
there's alleged cannibalism going on.
Maybe... Huh?
I don't know.
Oh.
There's alleged cannibalism going on. So...
My SD card full?
So full.
Yeah, it is full. Okay. Well, I mean, we're probably gonna...
Yeah, I think how long are we in?
Like an hour and like 6 minutes.
Okay.
But that's like fine for this.
That's an episode. That's a full episode. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's all imminent. I think it just needs to be the right person.
Yeah.
For it to be specifically Twitch and for it not to be, but also that means that, like, a courtroom has to respect the person filming it enough to actually give them permission.
True.
So it's kind of like, how possible is that really? And I don't know.
That's fair. But yeah, I do think it's about time that we wrap up this episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Forrest, for letting me just lore dump about OJ Simpson.
Of course. I mean, yeah, thanks for filming this If We Podcasted It episode.
Yeah. The hypothetical if episode, If We Podcast. We should write that book. If we didn't start a podcast, what would our lives be like?
Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
And let us know down in the comments below which one of us
is more likely to kill somebody and write a book about it.
Is it Apple Juice Andrew, which is Forrest?
Or is it Guilty George over here?
Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and
we'll see you on the flip.
I'm liking on the flip. I'm liking on the flip. Yeah.
Good, right?
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.